Okay. Till now we discussed about bus interface unit, that is first section of 8086 architecture. Now let's discuss about the second section, that is execution unit. So basically execution unit will start with the bus, that is big bus, A bus, where the execution unit consists of another set of registers. Those are called general purpose registers, index registers, and the pointer registers. There are total 16 registers we have. Out of them, already we have seen there 5 registers, and here there are 4 general purpose registers we will see. 4 general purpose registers or general data registers also we will call. And these 4 general purpose registers, even though they are of 16-bit size, but we can further divide them into 8-bit registers. The first register is like AX, which is a 16-bit register, and the second one is BX, and these 16-bit registers can be divided into two 8-bit registers called BH, BL, and earlier AL, AH, and CX, DX. There are total 4 16-bit general data registers, and each and every one having its own specific work or usage. Let us discuss in detail one by one. Okay, and this one is DH, DL, and the remaining are pointer and index registers. These are like base pointer, stack pointer, source index, destination index. Okay, total 8 16 registers here, and 5 earlier in BIU we have seen 4 segment and 1 IP, and total here 13, and one more we are going to discuss is a flag register that we will discuss next. Okay, and this is a bidirectional bus, and this is A bus. Earlier I have shown you below BIU, and here it is ALU, which can perform all the arithmetical and logical operations, or basically we can say all the computations. All the computations can be carried out by this ALU. Okay, and ALU will take 2 operands as 2 inputs from bus A, and the output of ALU again given to the A bus for further process, maybe for the storage purpose, or to send to permanent memory, or any other thing to transfer data to external world, like that. And along with this ALU, we have one special function register called operands and flags. Operands and flags. This is one more 16-bit register. Operands and flags. The operands and flags keep on updating the status of current running program. Okay, this is basically execution unit part of 8086 microprocessor. Okay, earlier we have seen previous video where accessing of data or instructions from the memory done through adder circuit and set of base registers, and then through bus C and B they fetch the instructions into instruction queue. Then instruction queue will send the instructions as per the purpose or requirement of decoding or non decoding, and then later on it will come to from instruction queue. Just I'll show you the small box. Instruction queue. From there we will get data onto execution unit. Right? Now, once instructions arrive to execution unit, the basic data will store in data registers, and the various other addressing modes where different kind of addressing mode and different way of accessing data from the memory can be carried out through these pointer and index registers. Once data, instructions, everything is gathered or received, then ALU will perform the operation and gives the result back to the registers to store or will send to memory. Now let us discuss in detail one by one. Let's start with the registers. Yeah, as we have seen that different set of registers available in 8086. The first set of registers are called segment registers. First set of registers are segment registers. Those all the 4 segment registers already we have seen in the case of BIU. Now the second set of registers are general data registers, also called as general purpose registers, and these AX, BX, CX, DX. All the four are 16-bit general data registers, and where they have converted into 8-bit registers of ALAH for X, BLBH for BX, and CLCH, DLDH for CX and DX registers. Based upon type of operation or requirement of memory storage, either we can use these registers or 8-bit registers as well as 16-bit registers. Okay, and let us discuss in detail one by one. AX is basically called as an accumulator something like, because almost all the operations it will involve the temporary data storage will be given to AX register. If you write example, I'll write one instruction for data transfer. Before going to perform any operation, we will write move AL comma 05H. As I'm using 8-bit data, so I have used only 1 byte, that is half of AX register to store this data, right? And similarly, you can store any other kind of data, but most of the cases while writing program or instructions, we will use A register as the by default register. That's what the special name is given as accumulator. Second one, the BX register, also called as base register. This is called as accumulator, symbol with ACC, and this is called base register. Along with the support of AX, we will use base register in many of the operations to store the secondary level operand data. Secondary level operand data can be stored in BX register, either BL or BH. Then third one is CX as 16-bit register. Again, CL and CH are the 8-bit registers. Most of the cases, this register is used as counter. Most of the cases, when you are going to execute the program multiple times like a loop of type kind of operations, we will define the count value or as a counter, we use a CX register. And finally, DX register, it is simply data register along with AX. In the support of AX, to store higher order bytes or whenever an overflow occurs, because it can perform maximum of 16-bit data, just think about it. If you are performing a 16-bit multiplication, multiplying 16-bit into 16-bit, definitely the resultant data must be more than the 16-bit size. So that case, if you are using only one operand register, resultant register, then it can store only 16-bit. What about remaining extra bits generated by the multiplication operation? We simply cannot discard it because we are going to lose information. So that in such cases, whenever overflow occurs, whenever there is support of storage required along with the AX register, then we will use DX register as a data register to store next higher order bytes or bits of data, especially when overflow comes. Okay, this is called data register. Okay, these are the different kind of registers in the second set, that is general data registers. And third set is index and pointer registers. Index and pointer registers. Index registers and pointer registers. Index registers basically we will use source index and destination index when we want to send data or receive data, or else for different kind of addressing mode generation, source and destination operations. We will use these two set of registers along with base registers for the purpose of accessing instructions data from main memory locations. Okay, index registers. These two are index, source index and destination index. And coming to stack pointer and base pointer, these are the two pointer registers. With respect to stack operation, we are going to use this. Push operation, pop operation will involve or include these two registers. Along with this, what are the other special registers we have? Here if you see here total 4 segment registers, 4 general data registers, and 2 plus 2 total 4 pointer index registers. 12 we got out of 14. As we have 14 16-bit registers in 8086 microprocessor, but here we have got 12. What are the 2 more? The 2 more we call, one is IP instruction pointer, which basically used to store next instruction to be executed, and that is address of next instruction to be executed. And the last one is flag register. Very important register. This flag register, which will have total. It is a 16-bit register, even though it will consist of only 9 flags out of 16 we are using. Those 9 flags will give different status, like different kind of data available. This status of data and resultant ALU operations. Resultant ALU operation it will show. Okay, right. So total we got 14 16-bit registers. 14 number of 16-bit registers available in 8086. Okay, these are the total 8 here. There is 9th and 5 we have seen in BLU. Now, as per this information, you just observe here, when data instructions they have fetched from queue, the data, temporary data will be stored and executed, instruction will be executed by. After execution of instruction, the resultant data again received back through A bus and the register. For example, if you have written this is the basic operation, then 05 is the data available in some memory location, or it is immediate data. Here in the case it is immediate data. That immediate data directly will store into AL register, but who will carry out that? ALU. ALU, once it executes move is instruction, after decoding, then the data 05 will be copied into AL register. Likewise, instruction will execute and finally result will store into the respective destination registers. Now, let us discuss in detail about flag register. Flag register it is of like 16-bit register. As I told you, flag register is of 16-bit register, right? Out of 16 bits, we are using only 9 bits. Let us discuss what are the all 9 bits will give different status. Okay, I'll write one by one. The first field starting from LSB to MSB, nothing but 0 to 15, we can say 0 to 15 is the number of bits. So count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and one more, it is 16. Right. The first bit field, LSB bit field, is used to represent carry flag. And everyone you know that for every 8-bit operation, if we get carry over to the 9th bit, then basically this is called as a carry exist or carry over there. Okay. So in general, any arithmetical or logical operation when you are carrying out, if there exists a carry from 8th bit to the 9th bit, this bit field will be enabled. Enabled means set to 1. Then it indicates there exists a carry. If this bit field is 0, simply we can conclude there is no carry exist in the previous operation, because for every ALU operation, means if whenever ALU executing instruction or a program, for every instruction execution or after execution of every instruction, this flag register will be updated as per the resultant data of ALU. Okay, so looking at the status of carry flag, we can say whether if it is 1, yeah, previous instruction gave a carry over from 8th bit to 9th bit. Or if it is reset to 0, we can say there is no carry exists in the previous operation, like that. And second bit field is unused. Second bit field is unused. Okay, as I said, total 16 bits, but still we are using only 9 flag fields for 8086 processor. And next one is parity flag. Parity flag. The parity flag, we know that it will show us the number of ones or zeros present in the data, resultant data. If resultant data having number of ones are even, it will show 0. If number of ones are odd, it will show here as a 1. Means set to 1 or set to 0 based upon number of ones in the result data is even or odd. And next, again, undefined. Then after we have auxiliary flag or auxiliary carry flag, where carry flag will discuss or show us the existing carry over from 8th bit to 9th bit, that is byte level carry operation. But whereas auxiliary flag or auxiliary carry flag will show us whenever there exists a carry from 4th bit to 5th bit, that is nibble operation. After every nibble operation, if you are getting a carry over 4th bit to 5th bit, then this bit field will set to 1 and show that there exists a carry from 4th bit to 5th bit in the particular arithmetical or any other operation. And next bit field again unused, then we'll go with 0 flag. As 0 flag, basically it will represent whenever a 0 resultant of the previous instruction executed by ALU will become 0, will give result is 0, then this field will be enabled. Otherwise, it will be disabled or reset to 0. For example, if you are performing the subtraction operation of 2 minus 2, result is 0. That time automatically this field goes to set to 1. If you are performing any other operation where you are getting a finite amount of data as a result, then this field will be disabled, that is 0. Next, we have sign flag, we have trap flag, direction flag, interrupt flag, and finally overflow flag. I'll discuss one by one in detail, and the remaining fields are unused. Right? See. Okay, just now I discussed about this. Yeah, sign flag. The sign flag basically will be used in signed arithmetical operations whenever you are dealing with the data as negative integers or negative numbers as well as positive numbers. Then the sign flag will be useful to identify that number is a negative or positive number. And trap flag, this is also called as single step trap. This will provide sufficient amount of delay between instruction to instruction execution and will make it clear that instruction and this instruction is continuously of instructions. Single step trap. For every instruction execution, after completion of every instruction execution, it will give a small amount of gap or delay. Nothing but it executes an interrupt, which will make a small amount of delay between instruction to instruction. Direction flag. This flag will show data transfer, whether data you are transferring input to output operation or input output operation or memory operation as well as external device operation, or means whenever you are communicating with process, communicating with external peripherals, where the data is transferring from the processor to external devices or external devices into the processor, the direction will be represented. Or else whenever we are performing that particular operation, sending out data to output devices or getting data as incoming, then we can set or reset this particular field. The interrupt field, yeah, we have two different sources of interrupts, hardware and software here. We'll discuss in next classes, but interrupt flag will be enabled whenever there exists an interrupt or enabled. An interrupt is enabled or generated by external source or automatically generated by within the system through the various software interrupts. This field will be enabled and then gives a notification, kind of thing like it will give a notification to the processor saying that there exists an interrupt to go and execute like. Next, the final one is overflow. Just not whenever basically all the registers are of 16-bit size, but whenever there is a situation occurs, the resultant data of the particular operation is more than 16-bit size. More than 16-bit size. Then where or how a particular register of 8086 can store this data? It is not possible because all the registers are of 16-bit size only. The memory locations available within the microprocessor which will access through externally also 16-bit slots. But how it can store the data is not possible. So this overflow flag will indicates data overflow occurs in that particular instruction while executing. When it occurs immediately, the processor will allocate one more memory location, that is one more register additional with the previous resultant register. Then it can store the maximum more than 16-bit data also by using two different registers when it exists overflow. Likewise, so here total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So total 9 fields out of 16 fields in the 16-bit register, that is flag register, are used to show the status of current running program. After each and every instruction execution by ALU, the flag register will update all these 9 fields according to the results. Then we will come to know that the type of operation, that results and carry exist or not, and whether result is 0 or not, and the direction of data, whether interrupts exist or not, overflow exist or not, like that. Each and every information we can get it from flag register by taking the status of flag registers. Okay, yeah. This is a complete overview of an x86 infrastructure architecture. As in the previous section, we have seen VIU, and the next section, this is like execution unit. Both sections together called as the complete architecture or block diagram of 8086 microprocessor, where it can perform all the arithmetical logical operations using assembly language programming. And just small discussion why this 8086 processor is divided into two parts only. Because the only simple reason it follows two-stage pipelining concept, so that it is divided into two major parts. What does two-stage pipelining means? The pipelining concept always will discuss to boost up or enhance the speed of operation of the system. If you are executing one instruction and then waiting to complete that one instruction, after completion of first instruction, if you use the second instruction, again second instruction will take some time to complete and execute. Again third instruction you give, it is a long process, will take long time to execute a single program. If you use the pipelining concept where one instruction is fetched and went for decoding and executing in process, then if you fetch second instruction, we will save half of the time where the second instruction is waiting. Likewise, when second instruction goes to execution, again you can fetch the third instruction. So one step or one stage, we are always moving forward, where we are saving most of amount of time, and we are improving the system performance. That is, speed of operation system is going to increase with the help of pipelining concept.